Hello, hello, my Facebook and YouTube family. It is 8 o'clock. Yes, and it is time for the second day of our 13-day healing workshop. I wanted to say journey so bad because we are definitely on a journey and you are not in this thing by yourself. This healing workshop is based off my latest release, Broken Rib Created to Heal. This book can be found on Amazon, but I prefer that you order it a signed copy directly from me at bridgetdrury.square.site. We are diving into this book together so that we can go on this healing journey together and we can be all that we are created to be. If you are ready to confront pain and uproot bitterness as you're healing from divorce or loss or identity crisis or childhood traumas and emotional wounds, all while you're discovering who God has called you to be in your God-given identity and purpose. It's going to help you to be able to embrace a life of abundance, healing, and freedom, and teach you how to trust God to unveil you in his perfect timing. Healing is not always easy, and it's definitely not a process that can be rushed. But we just want you to know that you are not in it by yourself. Your Broken Rib Ministry family is here for you. If you want further assistance or one-on-one with your healing journey, feel free to send me an inbox or type in the comments for me to contact you, and I definitely will. Or just put your email in there and I will definitely get with you and we will set up an individual one-on-one session with you. But today, you guys, is day 2, and the title of that chapter is Cracked Foundations. Cracked Foundations allows us to really get to the root of why we show up the way we do in life and in relationships. So some of us didn't grow up in broken homes, but we grew up with broken experiences, and those experiences didn't just disappear. We learned and created ways to carry them. What we don't like, what we probably don't call suppression, but is exactly what it is. We learned how to suppress, and that is when you push down how you feel instead of processing it. So it's not that the pain isn't there, it's that we trained ourselves to ignore it or to bury it or to just learn to function around it. So suppressing is emotionally holding your breath, basically, so that you don't have to deal with what hurts you. So today we're going to be talking about what suppression looks like in our real life, as well as how that childhood trauma can create cracked foundations in our life that we carry on into adult relationships. So we're going to be talking about recognizing how that trauma shows up in those adult relationships, and then how we can begin to heal. Okay, so I'm excited, you guys. I'm so ready to go on this journey with you, and I appreciate you for joining us, whether you're on YouTube or you're on Facebook, for joining us and allowing us to be able to be on this journey with you. So if you haven't already, like, share, and follow or subscribe. I'm sorry, you guys. Whatever platform you're on, follow and subscribe. Okay. So simply, a simple definition of suppression is basically holding our breath so that we don't have to deal with what hurt us. Ways that we are doing that, and what suppression might look like in our everyday life is maybe when you were a child, you were told to stop crying. You weren't allowed to cry when you were hurting and get it all out. So now you find yourself struggling with how to express your emotions. You find yourself acting like things don't bother you while the whole time they are, and you're just starting to feel overwhelmed on the inside. Or maybe you avoid hard conversations because you want to keep the peace. You don't want it to turn chaotic or dysfunctional as a result of you expressing yourself. Maybe you laugh things off that you know actually hurt you. So you start laughing before someone else has an opportunity to laugh at your pain. Or you stay busy. You become a busybody or a workaholic, so you don't have to sit with yourself. You don't have to sit and be still, because your thoughts are going to get to racing. You're going to start thinking about the things that hurt you. You will begin to feel the things that hurt you. So you fill your day and your life with busyness. Or maybe you forgive people outwardly. You make it to seem as if you're okay or you have forgiven them, but internally you're wounded. You're hurting. You're dying. You're crying on the inside. Suppression is basically just a form of survival that oftentimes is labeled as strength. And if we're not careful, we'll think that not only are we strong, but in order to stay strong, that we have to keep suppressing things and not allowing them to come up to the surface so that we can deal with them. When we're kids, we don't necessarily have the proper tools or the training to know how to process pain correctly. So it's important that we're taught that. But if we have parents that are parenting us, or our grandparents, or whoever's raising us, and they're raising us from an unhealed state, they're raising us and that's all they've known, they're still dealing with childhood trauma, then they are not equipped to be able to teach us how to correctly process that pain that we're dealing with. So instead of understanding what happened to us or what's happening, we start forming beliefs about who we are. And which leads to childhood trauma. So for example, if you are rejected, you may believe that you're not, you may start believing that you're not enough. If you are abandoned, you may fear people leaving, even in healthy relationships, even if they've shown no sign of wanting to leave you. Or you may find yourself leaving them first because you don't want them to leave you. So you will go ahead and leave or try to run from the relationship because you're afraid of the feeling if they do decide to leave. If you experienced a lot of dysfunction and chaos, you may struggle with stability or struggle with trusting peace. When things are calm, when things are peaceful, you're uneasy, you're uncomfortable, so you create chaos and dysfunctional situations and circumstances. If a lover was inconsistent or you had to earn it, then you may confuse love with dysfunction. So now as adults, we're not just reacting to people, we'll find ourselves reacting from the wounds. Your foundation was laid in a place where you didn't have control. As a kid, you didn't have control of what family you're going to be raised up in. You didn't have control of where you get to live, or what you're going to eat, or how you were talked to, or how you were handled. But now God is giving you the power to be able to rebuild on a solid foundation. But first, we need to be able to recognize how childhood trauma shows up in our adult relationships. Overthinking and anxiety in relationships can be a way that childhood trauma is showing up. Your fear of vulnerability or opening up to people, or even socializing, could be your childhood trauma showing up. pushing people away before they can hurt you. Goes back to leaving and running from relationships. All of those are signs of childhood trauma that's now showing up. Clinging too tightly to people because you are fearing losing them. Struggling with trust even when people haven't done anything to make you believe or even give you a reason to think that you can't trust them. Or maybe you're reacting strongly to small situations because really it's tied to something deeper. And I don't know about you guys, but I used to always be that person. I've done that myself. I'm guilty of doing that in my past. Reacting to smaller things that really triggered something deeper within me that I had not healed and didn't even know how to begin to heal it. So this may make you feel like you're too much for anyone to handle or even ever be able to love. But you're not too much. You're just responding from an unhealed place. So you may be saying, well, how do I begin to heal then? You want to first acknowledge what happened. Healing starts when you stop minimizing your pain or treating it as if it is not a big deal. You have to understand and receive and know that what hurt you mattered. Even if nobody validated your pain back then. Even if nobody is validating your pain now. It does not matter. It does not make it not real. What hurt you mattered. You mattered. Then you have to stop normalizing dysfunction. Just because it was normal then doesn't mean it was healthy. Just because it was what you knew, just because it was how your family was, or just how you were, or how it was, that does not mean that it was healthy. So some of us are trying to build healthy relationships with an unhealthy blueprint. You've never saw a healthy marriage. You've never saw healthy parenting. You've never saw healthy friendships. You never saw healthy partnerships. You've never done business in a healthy way. You've never saw people interact with their siblings in a healthy way. So you're trying to build from an unhealthy blueprint. But that's okay, because it's nothing too hard for God to change, or too hard for God to too hard for God to transform or show you how to do it. He can give, the Holy Spirit can give you God's blueprint. God's blueprint of marriage, God's blueprint of a partnership, of business, God's blueprint of being a friend, of friendship, God's blueprint of being a brother, being a sister, being a mother, being a father. Hallelujah. Then you want to allow yourself to feel. You cannot heal what you will not feel. Cry if you have to. Scream if you have to. Go to a park. Go get in your car. Go walk in the woods. Go do whatever it is you need to do for you. This is personal. It's not about what makes sense to others. It's not about what you saw other people do. Do what you need to do for you. And if that means you crying, journaling, praying, talking to a counselor, talking to a friend, talking to a therapist, talking to whoever, it's all part of releasing what was suppressed. You have to open up and release what's been weighing you down. To suppress something, you are pressing, you're containing it. You're not allowing it to flow. You're not allowing the freedom and the flow of who you really are to come forth. Suppressed pain doesn't disappear. It just waits. It sits and it waits. You also have to refrain from the lies that you've been believing about yourself. The lies you've been believing about your circumstances. If you were believing that you were not enough, you have to start believing that I am worthy, that I am chosen, that I am enough. If you were believing people always leave me, you have to start believing that God will send people who are aligned and equipped to stay in your life. You have to believe that those that leave out of your life, that they're not supposed to be there. If you're believing, I have to protect myself from everybody. So you're creating all of these walls and these boundaries and these false truths. Then you have to change that by believing that you can learn to discern and not be ready to defend yourself. Be still, quieten your mind, quieten your spirit. Learn to be still so that you can hear and so that you can discern the things that are not of God. So that you can pay attention. And then you won't have to find yourself protecting yourself from things that may not even be true. And if they are true, you've already noticed what it is or what it can be. So then you know how to move. Another thing is we have to invite God into the root and not just the surface of the matter, of our trauma, of our pain. This is where transformation really happens. Because God doesn't just heal behaviors. He heals the places that those behaviors were born. He heals it from the root. And that's not an easy process because you're going to have to be vulnerable and allow him into the crevices of your heart. Allow him to do a clean sweep on your mind. So everything you've ever known and felt to be true and to be comfortable now is being stripped away from you. So you feel vulnerable. You feel seen in a way you don't want to be seen. You feel as if everybody can see your faults. But I encourage you to pray specifically about the memories. Pray specifically about the moments. Pray specifically about the wounds and not just say a general prayer and ask the Lord to just heal you. Lord, just heal me from every area I've been broken. Or Lord, just heal me from all heartache and pain. But actually allow yourself to call out the memories of what you've experienced. Call out the moments. Call out the wounds. Specifically pray about the feeling, your feelings towards them. Your feelings maybe even towards the offender or just the situation or the circumstance. Then you want to make sure that you practice new patterns. Healing isn't just spiritual. It's also behavioral. So you want to make sure that you're communicating instead of shutting down. That you're setting boundaries instead of people pleasing and being passive aggressive. Take your time instead of rushing into connections. What's for you is for you. It's not going anywhere. So take your time. Choose peace even when chaos is what feels familiar. Even when chaos is what's comfortable. Choose peace. That's where you experience a peace that surpasses your own understanding. because you don't quite understand it. You haven't experienced it. It don't make sense because you're looking at what's going on around you or what you've been exposed to. But now here you are experiencing something in a space that otherwise you would be feeling or experiencing chaos. Healing is when we choose to respond differently to what once triggered us. Or you choose to respond differently to who triggered you. Before I close on tonight, I want to encourage you that you are not broken beyond repair. You were built on a cracked foundation, but today or tonight, you become aware of it. And anything you're aware of, God can heal. God can heal it. You don't have to keep loving from wounds, loving from a wounded place. You don't have to keep reacting from your pain. You don't have to keep repeating cycles that are doing nothing but hurting you. That is not your portion. At the end of each chapter of my book, there are reflection and questions and journaling pages. And you will see them here. The reflection questions. Then you have your journaling pages. I don't know if you guys can see that from the lighting. And there's also a poem. But I'd like to read the reflection questions for the end of chapter 2 before I read the poem, to give those of you that don't have the book an opportunity to heal at the root. Think back to your earliest memory of being at home. You want to journal, what do you see? What do you hear? How did you feel when you were at home versus when you were somewhere else? What were the unspoken rules in your childhood home? Meaning, no one ever told you that you couldn't do it or not to do it. But yet you knew if you did it, there will be consequences. Or your guardian would act in a harsh way. Were your emotional needs acknowledged? Were they ignored? Or were they even shamed? And whatever your answer, if your answer is yes or any one of those, you're going to want to write how they were acknowledged, how were they ignored, or how they were shamed. And write why you think your emotions were acknowledged. What did your parents or your guardian or your siblings, or what was done that made you know or to think that what you felt mattered? Or that you know they were reassuring you that they see you, they hear you, and they feel you, or just empathizing with you. Why do you think they were ignored or shamed? You want to write that. What beliefs about yourself did you internalize at a young age? And can you identify one behavior that you have today that may have started as a survival mechanism? And I'm going to go and read the poem that's at the end of chapter 2. And it's called Cracked at the Core. I was smiling outside but breaking within, carrying secrets, regret, and sin. A fragile soul, afraid to explore. The weight of my wounds cracked at the core. The world saw strength, but not my despair. The child who longed for someone to care. Each jagged memory, each silent tear, became the voice of shame I'd hear. But God knelt low where the pieces lay and whispered, "Child, I'll show you the way. What's fractured and torn, I'll fully restore. I'll pour my spirit into your core. Now every crack tells a radiant story of mercy's power, of heaven's glory. I'm not defined by the pain I bore, for grace rebuilt what was cracked at the core." And that is the end of that poem. I want to thank you all again, whether you're joining from Facebook or you're joining on the YouTube platform. Thank you for sharing your healing journey with us and choosing to go on this 13-day healing journey and join us for the workshop. Taking time out of your day. I want to thank you for that. If you have not already purchased your copy, your signed copy of Broken Rib, Created to Heal, then you can get your copy at bridgetdrury.square.site. The link will be in the comments. If you are on Facebook, it will be in the description. If you are on YouTube, I am looking forward to signing your copies and shipping them out to you soon. I want you guys to go and enjoy the rest of your night, healed, whole, and free. Until tomorrow, you guys be blessed.